Mom delivers black triplets, Dad takes a closer look then bursts into tears. Prejudice is still an issue around the world today. As much as we wish it wasn't, with the current state of our country, it seems it's getting worse rather than better. Rachel and Aaron Halbert have experienced this themselves. The reason why is quite unique. They deal with it because of the color of their children's skin. Rachel and Aaron met each other on a blind date in 2004. Aaron was born and raised in Honduras until he was 10 years old. He became a missionary and had spent most of his years on several preaching trips. Rachel, on the other hand, was born in Mississippi. When she met Aaron, she knew right away that he was the one for her. Not only did they share the same humble personality, but they also both felt that they could make changes in the world through the power of the gospel. They got to know each other intimately through their missionary work. Before long, their relationship took a romantic turn. They had the same dream, and when they got married, they were both keen to start a family right away. The couple wanted a big and happy family. However, after years of trying, it seemed that their plans were not as easy as it sounds. Rachel was struggling to get pregnant. Eventually, the couple reached a mutual decision. Rachel and Aaron lived in Mississippi after marriage. Since they had a big home, they both agreed that it would look a lot better and happier if kids are running around it. So, they did the necessary work and decided to adopt 2 African American children. The Halbert couple knew how much the kids needed help. However, they wanted to give them more than that. Rachel and Aaron wanted to share their compassion and love. When the 2 kids were officially adopted, they named them Ford and Catherine. The Halbert house became a home, thanks to the arrival of 2 adorable children. Rachel was happy to see how easy the kids have settled and adjusted to their new environment. It felt like they had known each other for a long time. Of course, there were people in their community who raised their eyebrows. While they didn't directly confront the couple whenever they walk out of their house with their adopted children, their actions and facial expressions were enough. Fortunately, Rachel and Aaron were not the types to be easily intimidated. The children's skin color didn't mean anything to them. They needed a home, and the color of their skin wasn't going to stop the Halbert couple from giving them one. While Rachel and Aaron were extremely happy for having Ford and Catherine in their lives, they often found themselves thinking that something was still missing. Both of them had dreamt of having a big family, and it felt that having 2 kids was not enough. Then one day, Rachel came across interesting information about embryo adoption. When Aaron found out about the procedure, they agreed that they had found the perfect solution that would make their family complete. The Halberts felt excited about the idea of getting pregnant through embryos. In no time, they decided that it would be the perfect way to expand their family. But more than just merely making their family bigger, Aaron knew the reason why his wife was insistent. The procedure would allow Rachel to enjoy the magic of pregnancy and childbirth. She had been dreaming of it for years. Together, the couple went to the embryo donation bank. There, they found twin embryos. What's more amazing was that the embryos were African American. Rachel and Aaron decided that it would be perfect since they already had African American children. This way, all of their children could be of the same race even if it weren't the same as their parents. Before they came up with the embryo implantation decision, the couple, especially Rachel, dealt with people in town staring at her and mocking her for adopting 2 children of a different race. Although there were times she couldn't understand why some people have to act like that, she just chose to keep quiet and continue to do what is right in her eyes. Her husband had been very supportive, as well as their families and friends. Rachel didn't let this ignorance change her mind about having the African American twin embryos implanted. When she went to Honduras to see her doctor, it was time to make sure that her embryos were okay. After some tests, the doctors asked Rachel and Aaron if they were ready for some unexpected news. Rachel and Aaron thought that something was wrong. In their minds, they thought that one of the babies didn't make it. But when the doctor continued, it was their time to be shocked and surprised. Their blessing had been tripled. Rachel and Aaron were expecting twins. They were thinking about the names of their would-be daughters. However, it became clear that they needed to think of another name as the doctor revealed that Rachel wasn't carrying 2 babies, she was carrying 3. Although they both felt overjoyed, the couple couldn't help but wondered how it happened. That's when the doctor told her that one of the embryos had split after implantation and now she was carrying triplets. With Ford and Catherine, the Halbert couple knew that they were incredibly blessed. Their decision to expand their family seemed to be favored by the heavens, and they were made even happier by sending out an additional blessing. From twins to triplets, Aaron knew that his wife was ecstatic. She struggled to conceive, always praying that someday, she would be able to feel that lump of life in her belly. Finally, when it was given to her, it was given real big. The happy mother said that the news was a true blessing. As always, there would be those people who will find fault in every situation, no matter how good it was. Some questioned the way Rachel chose to become a mother. According to Rachel, her children don't need to have her eyes or her nose to be able to call her own. She added that they don't even need to share the same skin color. When it comes to family, Rachel says that love is all it takes. According to doctors, pregnant mothers with multiple babies usually do not complete a full-term pregnancy. Since she was carrying triplets, her husband and family were all eyes on her health and safety. When Rachel was close to her due date, the doctors decided to perform a C-section early so that the babies could be born safely. When she delivered black triplets, her husband took a closer look and burst into tears. Although Aaron already considered himself as a full-fledged father to Ford and Catherine, nothing prepared him for the feeling he had outside the operating room. So, it was the universal feeling that all fathers-to-be were talking about. When the babies were ready, Aaron excitedly held them in his arms. He couldn't believe how beautiful his 3 new children were and that finally, they have the family they'd always dreamed of. As soon as the triplets were born, Rachel and Aaron felt that their family was finally complete. When they returned to their neighborhood, the Halberts threw out a party as a way of giving thanks to their families and friends who had been very supportive. They were right where they wanted to be, and even if there are people who are clearly not happy with their situation, they couldn't care any less. Regardless of criticisms, Rachel and Aaron can go out of their house with their 5 adorable kids, their heads held up high. They both knew that intolerant people in town couldn't keep them from taking their lovely children out and showing them off. Rachel and Aaron shared that while many people look down on their family for having African American children, none of them can ruin their happiness. They are trying their best to live as good citizens, good neighbors, and good parents. Moreover, more people thank them for adopting children in need regardless of skin color. They keep on telling them that what they've done is a selfless and fantastic thing. Since day one of their journey, Rachel and Aaron recognized the people who fully understand their missions and dreams in life. They both knew that they can't have it all, however, they have enough to make their lives worth living. The stares and the dirty look, they don't mean anything to them. The couple was deeply in gratitude for all the people who had offered a great deal of support during their journey, too. Aaron took to Facebook and created a post that read, "It's been heartening to see virtually all of your friends and family express overwhelming support for our family and the unusual way we've built it. In our minds, we are just living out our dream. A dream that may not look like the average family, but one that we are thankful could come true in light of our country's history." The Halbert children look happier than ever. It seemed that the optimism, kindness, and compassion of their parents had been passed on their veins as well. The family portraits might not look like the traditional portraits. However, one can see the love on each other's faces, and that is what family is really all about. Pregnancy can lead to many surprises. In this next story, for example, a woman became a surrogate for a couple, only to find one of the twins she was carrying was actually her own child. Keep reading to get the full story. Jessica Allen was a loving mother of 2 when she decided to become the surrogate for another couple. Jessica genuinely wanted to do something good for another woman and her family, which is why she made every effort to follow all the rules and instructions to ensure a smooth pregnancy and delivery, as the surrogate mother. Unfortunately, something unthinkable and unpredictable happened, which made her later say to people, "I'd never do it again." I'm not the only one with a nightmare story, but I am the only one with a story like this. It all starts with a Chinese couple that traveled to the US to find a surrogate. Unfortunately for the couple, surrogacy was illegal in their homeland. So, when Jessica Allen, a California mother of 2, agreed to be the surrogate mother for their future baby, it was undoubtedly a blessing. Surrogacy agency Omega Family Global in San Diego, California, brought Jessica Allen and the Chinese couple together. In April of 2016, Jessica was implanted and impregnated with the Chinese couple's single male embryo, using in vitro fertilization, IVF. Of course, Jessica thoughtfully did everything she was supposed to do, which included taking estrogen and progestogen, as per the fertility doctor's instructions. She made every effort to do literally everything that she needed to do before and after she was impregnated to ensure success. Unfortunately, just 6 short weeks into the pregnancy, something was off. Everyone was in for a big surprise when Jessica Allen had her routine checkup and scan 6 weeks into her pregnancy. The scan revealed that she was actually pregnant with twins. The doctors explained that it was due to a rare, yet possible, splitting of the embryo. Luckily, the Chinese couple was overjoyed with the unexpected news, and Jessica, who was already paid $30,000 on top of additional expenses for simply agreeing to be the surrogate mother, now received an additional $5,000 in her monthly paychecks as a result of her carrying 2 babies instead of just 1. So, it looked like it was a win-win situation for everyone involved, right? Well, more surprises and twists awaited them. When she was already 38 weeks pregnant, on December 12, 2016, Jessica Allen went into labor. And because she had to undergo a C-section to deliver, she was not really able to get a good look at the twin babies due to an opaque screen that was used during the operation. Plus, the babies were taken immediately from the operating room after she gave birth to them successfully. However, as Jessica recalled to People, the Chinese mother actually paid her a visit with a picture of the newborn babies on her phone in the evening as she rested and recovered from the C-section. One looked full Chinese, the other didn't look full Chinese. It was clear that they were not identical, but I didn't ask questions. After Jessica Allen gave successful birth to the twin babies, everyone understandably went their separate ways. Jessica went back home to her own family and life to recuperate. She and her husband even eventually made plans to use the money from the surrogacy arrangement to purchase a brand new home for their family. It looked as though the surrogacy chapter in their lives was behind them until a month later, as Jessica and her husband were preparing to move into their new home. As Jessica told the New York Post, she received an unexpected text from the Chinese mother with a picture of the babies, expressing concerns about the legitimacy of one of the babies. They are not the same, right? Have you thought about why they are different? A week later, the twin babies were subjected to DNA testing. And as the Chinese mother suspected and feared, the babies were, in fact, not twins at all. The other baby turned out to be the biological child of Jessica Allen and her husband. How exactly did that happen, though? Well, it all happened due to a rare medical phenomenon called superfetation, which is when a woman is still ovulating while she is pregnant. So, Jessica actually got pregnant with her own biological child after she was already impregnated with the Chinese couple's embryo, which explained why the 2 embryos had 2 different gestational ages. So, what happened next? Did Jessica and her husband simply get their biological son turned over to their custody? Sadly, the situation got more complicated. Instead, Jessica Allen and her husband did not do anything wrong. It was not their fault that she had gotten pregnant with an additional child, their biological son. She and her husband had followed the fertility doctor's instructions by waiting to be intimate and to have sexual intercourse until several weeks into her confirmed pregnancy with the Chinese couple's embryo. Jessica and her husband even used condoms for good measure once the fertility doctor gave them the green light. Jessica even elaborated to the New York Post, "As per my contract, Wardle, Allen's husband, and I did not have intercourse until we were given permission by the IVF doctor, who recommended the use of condoms." Jessica and her husband Wardle were in a state of complete shock and panic. It was a lot for them to process, and understandably so. In fact, Jessica detailed what she and her husband were going through during that time in their life after the unexpected news to People. "I was panicking. My husband and I were panicking. We had no idea how this came about, and we had no idea how we were going to prepare for a child overnight. We just moved into a new house, we didn't have any more money." Sadly, as it would turn out, Jessica and her family would actually have bigger problems than having a 3rd child to support and raise. And the situation got even worse. To outsiders, it might have looked like there was a very simple solution: to give Jessica and Wardle their biological baby to raise. After all, it turned out that the Chinese family was not interested in taking care of a baby that was not theirs. In fact, it was reported that someone from Omega Family Global was actually tasked with the responsibility of looking after the baby while everything got sorted out, instead. And of course, Jessica and Wardle were also ready and quite eager to welcome their newborn biological son into their family. Unfortunately, there was one expensive obstacle in the way: the Chinese couple supposedly requested $22,000 back. As a result, Jessica was terrified that she would never see and have her newborn child. Jessica and Wardle were in no position to give back the $22,000 that the Chinese couple had allegedly demanded back, since the two had just purchased a new home for their family. And Jessica and Wardle were definitely not able to meet the additional and outrageous demand that Omega Family Global was adding to the whole mess. What was the demand? Omega Family Global wanted to charge Jessica and her family for the costs that were incurred from having a caseworker take care of their biological son while everything got sorted out. No, Jessica and her husband did not have tens of thousands of dollars in their bank account to settle their debts. In fact, Jessica explained to the New York Post, "We'd already spent most of the money we earned from the surrogacy contract, but now we were apparently on the hook for thousands of dollars." And on top of the debts, Jessica and her family had to contend with threats of having their biological son put up for adoption if she and her husband could not pay off their supposed debts. Jessica Allen and her family were entangled in a very messed up situation. In theory, it should have been resolved easily and simply by reuniting the baby with his biological parents who desperately wanted him. After all, the Chinese couple and Omega Family Global were not at all interested in keeping and raising the child anyway. Plus, the child's birth was no one's fault, really, to be honest. Unfortunately, as Jessica revealed to the New York Post, she and her family were caught between a rock and a hard place. As the saying goes, to my disgust, a caseworker from the agency lined up parents to adopt him and absorb the money we owed to the couple. Or, if that didn't work out, the couple were thinking of putting my son up for adoption, as they were still his legal parents. They wanted me to buy or adopt my own child. So, Jessica and her husband were even informed by Omega Family Global that even the Chinese mother and her family were seriously considering putting the baby up for adoption. It seemed like everyone and the odds were all against them. Jessica elaborated to People, "I thought I wasn't going to get him back because they were pressuring me to pay this money back first. Then they were saying that the intending mom was thinking about giving him up for adoption. I thought I had a child out there that I was gonna be forced to let go of all because I couldn't buy him or because I couldn't adopt him." And so, Jessica started to suspect and sense that something was truly off and fishy about the already strange situation. Because Jessica and her husband did not have the money, the two decided to go into debt, instead, to hire a lawyer to help them win custody of their biological son. Jessica and Wardle really had no other choice but to get legal assistance to prove that it was not their fault and that their biological son belonged with them, and ultimately, to negotiate with Omega Family Global and the Chinese family to sort out the whole mess. And who was really to blame anyway? Some believed that Jessica and Wardle should have abstained from sexual intercourse throughout the entire pregnancy. Others were convinced that the fertility doctor was ultimately to blame for giving Jessica and her husband the green light to be intimate, again, during the pregnancy. The doctor was the medical expert, after all. And some even thought that the Chinese couple was at fault, even though they were simply paying experts to make their innocent dream of biological parenthood come true. In fact, the Chinese family even paid extra money once it was discovered that Jessica was now carrying 2 babies. After hiring a lawyer to help her and her family out, Jessica came to the conclusion that it was Omega Family Global's fault that a quick and easy resolution was not reached in the beginning. She believed that the surrogacy agency had manipulated the Chinese couple with lies, causing unnecessary drama and trouble. Jessica Allen commented the following about the Chinese mother and her family to People, "It's not her fault. The agency put it in her head that I was going to try to sue her. I never said those words. Since she was scared that I was going to sue her, she starts sending me all kinds of text messages." After a relatively lengthy legal battle for something that should have been easy and fast to resolve, it was deemed that Jessica and her family did not owe Omega Family Global and the Chinese family any money. And more importantly, it was determined that the baby belonged to his biological parents. So, that should have been the end of the whole mess. And the baby should have gone to his biological parents immediately after the legal battle, right? Well, it was not as simple as that. According to Jessica Allen, which she described to People in detail, "We tried to get him on numerous occasions, but one excuse they gave us was the intended parents didn't want to sign over the power of attorney, so we didn't get him. We got another call and we were supposed to get him, then we didn't because they were thinking about giving him up for adoption." Why did the surrogacy agency Omega Family Global make everything a lot more complicated and traumatic than it needed to be? It was clear that neither Jessica and her husband nor the Chinese mother and father were at fault. And the Chinese family did not even want to keep or raise Jessica's biological son. And the delayed resolution only added to the financial costs for everyone involved. Unfortunately, After the legal battle, the surrogacy agency still refused to shed any light on its rationale and admit any fault for the whole mess, when it provided an official statement to the New York Post. By its very nature, surrogacy is a complicated journey which necessitates the support and care of agencies, parents, surrogates, psychologists, lawyers, and a host of other professionals. As with any pregnancy, issues do arise which require great care, attention to detail, and respect for the process and the emotions of all involved. On December 12, 2016, Jessica Allen gave birth to the Chinese couple's baby and her own biological son. And on February 5, 2017, she was finally reunited with her biological son after a legal battle and 3 failed attempts, thanks to Omega Family Global's manipulations and lies. Jessica recalled to the New York Post, "And so, on February 5, I finally met a caseworker from Omega in a Starbucks parking lot in Menifee, California, where she handed over our son, whom we've renamed Malachi. The moment was incredibly emotional, and I started hugging and kissing my boy." And even though her story eventually had a happy ending, Jessica Allen wanted to share her story to serve as a cautionary tale for others because it was traumatic and repercussions followed well afterward, too, actually. A cautionary tale for other women, too. Even though everything got resolved in the end, Jessica Allen asserted that she would never become a surrogate mother again. And who could blame her? It was truly a traumatic experience. However, as Jessica explained to the New York Post, she had no regrets. "My husband and I weren't planning to expand our family so soon, but we treasure Malachi with all our hearts. I don't regret becoming a surrogate mom because that would mean regretting my son. I just hope other women considering surrogacy can learn from my story. And that a greater good will come out of this nightmare." Plus, the traumatic experience left more than just emotional scars, it left financial scars, too. Yes, Jessica Allen and her family might have won custody of their biological child. But that win did not come for free. Jessica and her family were left with debts and additional legal battles after the custody battle. Jessica revealed to People, "It's very stressful financially, it's put us in debt. We're barely getting by right now and it stressed me out emotionally because this agency turned their backs on me. Knowing that for the first 2 months of Malachi's brand new life that he was in the arms of strangers, that breaks my heart. It's really heartbreaking." Although it cost Jessica Allen and her family loads of money, time, and stress, it was all worth it because their 3rd child eventually got reunited with them, his real and biological family. And it seemed like Malachi was already adjusting well almost a year after the custody battle and by the time Jessica shared her story with the media. As Jessica described and relayed to People, her 3rd child Malachi had moved on. "He's a little man. He's like 10 months going on 10. He's walking around already. He's trying to talk. He has an attitude and he's funny and his personality is just goofy and bossy all at once. He walks around like he runs the world."